I want to tell you a secret. I'm an EV virgin. So, yeah. What I mean by that is this is the first time that we've owned an electric vehicle. So technically we were EV virgins. But we broke our cherry. We bit the bullet into the world of EVs. And yeah, I mean, it's 7 weeks that we've had our first EV. We bought the Renault Zoe GT line. It's a 2020 plate. It was second hand. Couldn't afford to buy new. The cost of the car was £10,800. The cost of the Zappi wall charger that we had installed was basically 1,200 quid. And then obviously your other costs on top of that for insurance and so on and so forth for the car. So you're basically talking all in all, it was £12,000. Now, the reason I went for an EV, I was looking around. We were having car troubles, basically. We had still have them, two diesel cars that both basically started flagging up issues on the same day. And we've had issues with them in the past. I mean, obviously you can have any car, you can have issues with it, but they're both getting a bit older. One of them is a 2006 VW Passat that's done 287,000 miles or something like that. And the other one is a Hyundai i40, a 2014 reg, and that's done, I think, about 195,000 miles. So they're both done a good lot of miles. I was looking around for a new car, thinking quite what to buy. The missus doesn't need a big car. We do need one big car because we've got a dog and we like to take him with us on journeys and things. So looking around at like smaller cars, I wanted something that was only a few years old, quite low mileage. That's not brand new, but almost as good as new, if that makes sense. And so I was looking at the combustion engine cars and things, and for a 2020 plate with less than 15,000 miles on it, our budget was about 11 grand, and you were looking at the same sort of price for a similar sized car. Like we've got the Renault Zoe, which obviously is a small car, but if you wanted to get like a Vauxhall Corsa or the other combustion engine cars, you're talking a similar sort of price. So I figured, we'll try an EV. What we need it for is my wife takes my daughter to school and then goes to work and then picks her up and comes home, and that's a 72 mile a day round trip. And so crunching the numbers in terms of fuel costs, talking about £9.65 or something like that in diesel costs to do a 72 mile round trip. Now that's based on getting 45 miles to the gallon out of your diesel, which is an average, which we do sort of get out of both of those cars. We can get a bit more, but this was kind of a worst case. So if you're paying £1.34 per litre of diesel at the pump, with getting 45 miles to the gallon, and a gallon being roughly 4.5 litres, it makes the maths a bit simpler. So whatever you're paying at the pump, divide that price by 10, and that's how much you pay per mile. So that's based on like 13.4p per mile, and that works out to about £9.65 per day in fuel costs, which obviously is a lot. You're getting on for £10 a day, and then there's the travel about at the weekends and stuff. And then there's days where we do more than the 72 miles because there's taking kids to after school clubs and things on, and so on and so forth. So you're getting on to about £70 or £80 a week in diesel costs. So you're talking £200 odd a month for diesel. So I worked out that if you can buy an electric vehicle and you can get about 3 miles per kilowatt hour and the tariff that we were on at the time, I think I could get electricity to charge the EV. I could get that down to about 12p per kilowatt hour because of the Cozy tariff and stuff that we could go on, or Octopus Flux and so on and so forth. 12p per kilowatt hour, and then if you're getting 3 miles per kilowatt hour, then you're talking that comes down to 4p from 13.5p. That's a significant saving. That works out to £2.88 per day. So you're talking, £6.80 or whatever, £6.70 savings per day. So, over the course of the week, that then totals up to, about 50 quid a week, something like that. And so £50 a week, that's over £2,000 a year savings. So it was a bit of a no-brainer, really, thinking, well, let's try an EV. Obviously, it's a step into the unknown. The thing I found with EVs is you find, one is the people that generally badmouth EVs are people that don't own or have never owned an EV. That's the vast majority of people that badmouth them. Not saying, people have never had a bad experience with an EV, because there's lots of people out there that have. Obviously, there's the risk of something going wrong with the EV, because at the moment, although there are places that can work on them, they are still quite niche and quite specialist. So I think they're quite expensive to repair if something goes wrong. So there's that as a risk as well. But I kind of felt that, you can have the same with buying a combustion engine car. You can have that, and it's only a few years old and done 15,000 miles, but it can still break the next day that you buy it. And so I figured it was worth trying. And we're about 6 or 7 weeks in. It's a great car to drive. It's nippy. It does everything that we need. The range, the most we've seen out of the range is probably around just over 200 miles, about maybe 206, 207 miles. But that's a projected range. That's based on the amount of miles travelled in a day and the amount of percentage used by the battery. That's a calculation that I did, not something that the trip computer did. But typically we're seeing around the 175 miles off a full charge mark, which isn't great. It's a bit rubbish, but that wasn't why we bought the car. We bought the car for the use case of the missus driving it to work and back day in, day out, and taking kids to school and to doing other places and stuff. And so far it's working perfect. If you haven't got to do really long journeys, then it's great, because we're charging it from home. But if we do need to do a really long journey, that was another reason for going for the Zoe that I bought. It's the GT line, and it's got rapid charge on it, so it can be charged up to 50 kilowatts, I think it is, or was it 45 or something like that. And so that means if we do need to stop and there's a rapid charger there, then we can go from 0 to 100% in an hour. But we'd never do that anyway, because everyone says, well, when you get to 80%, the charging slows down anyway, so you only want to charge it up to 80%. So you're basically talking that if you want to stop at the services, plug it in, go out and have a pee, maybe grab yourself a coffee. By the time you come back, you've got enough miles in the car to get on and do the next leg of your journey. We haven't tried using it that way yet. So we'll wait and see. We've only charged it on one public charger so far, was when we went for a meal in Hull. Glorious Hull, to go for a meal. Now, there's nothing wrong with Hull. I like Hull. I'm not knocking it. So don't give me bad comments if you live in Hull, please. We went for a meal there, and we parked in a public car park, and they had chargers, and so I plugged it in and we had a go at charging it. And that worked fine. It was seamless, and we went and had food for a couple of hours. We come back, and it was only charging at 11 kilowatts, I think it was. so it didn't completely charge the car, but it put plenty enough in it. We had enough in it anyway, really, to get home. But I think it was quite windy that night, and because we have to cross the Humber Bridge to get to Hull, I was thinking, well, if we need to drive round the Humber Bridge because they close it because it's too windy, then we would need more miles in the car than what we had. I think we had 60 remaining, and we'd need about 70 odd or something. So anyway, so we charged it up. That worked fine. But if you're doing that all the time, then or if you're forced to public charge your EV, then at the moment they just don't really make financial sense. The only way they make financial sense is what we've done, which is charging it at home overnight on cheap electricity. Then you do save money. Like in the 7 weeks we've had it, my estimates say that we've saved about £350 in fuel costs or something like that, which is a significant amount of money. You know, and how I say, the projection for over the year is £2,000 plus. You know, when I was selling it to the missus about buying an electric vehicle over another one, you know, I was saying, well, you know, we should save like at least £1,000 a year. And as it turns out, it's probably going to be double that amount that we're going to save in a year. The missus is loving it as well because previously, you know, she was filling up her car with diesel and everything and paying for that out of her paycheck, whereas now it's all charged from home and I'm the one that deals with the electric bills, so I'm the one that's paying basically for her fuel costs. So she's, you know, a few £100s a month better off, which she's more than happy to spend, which, yeah, we need to have that discussion because that wasn't part and parcel of buying the car. It wasn't that we spend the extra money that we save, and so so having EV for 6 weeks, I'd definitely, you know, if you've got the money, if you can do it, then do it, then get one. I'm already thinking ahead in a few years' time when, you know, we want another bigger car like a state vehicle or something. About looking for a car with a bit of a longer range, really, because, you know, 200 miles. I mean, although people say you will get 250 miles in the summer out of a Renault Zoe, it's still not a lot. It's not enough, I don't think. You know, and so you know, especially if you want to go further afield. But yeah, I mean, at the moment, the only sort of estate vehicle that's out there is the MG5 or something, I think it is. But that does a similar amount of miles to the Zoe. So and it's a lot more money at the minute. So we'll just have to see anyway in years to come. But yeah, if you're thinking about an EV, you know, hopefully this might have swayed you to bite the bullet and try an EV, and if you're dead against them, then you're dead against them, and, you know, continue driving your diesel and your Peugeot. I mean, we've still got 2 diesel cars at the moment. One of them's probably going to go shortly, but, you know, at the moment the other diesel's only doing short journeys for me, taking our other child to school and picking them up. And so, but we want the bigger car for doing longer journeys and taking the dog and so on and so forth. And so we will have to have a bigger car, I think, for the future. But right now, the Renault Zoe fits the bill. It does the job. The other train of thought as well, actually, is with that saving of a few £1,000s a year, sort of rolling back, whenever I've bought cars, I've not bought a car thinking I was going to sell it in a few years' time. I've always bought a car thinking that's now my car until that car dies, basically, or is close to dying. And then, you know, so I've had my full use out of it. My train of thought with the Renault Zoe is very different. I am thinking in maybe 4 or 5 years after we've had, you know, some use out of it, then potentially selling it on. Now, what I was also thinking is because of that saving, the cost saving in fuel, in that 4 or 5 years' time, that'll probably replace the depreciation value of the vehicle. So then it then kind of becomes almost like a zero-sum game, that although we've paid £12,000 for the car now, because of what we've saved in the fuel costs, when we come to sell it at, say, £6,000, £6,000 at say £4,000 in 6 years time, or £3,000 in 6 years time, you know, that's covered by the amount that we've saved in fuel bills. And so then we can put those savings towards buying another electric vehicle that's newer and less miles on the clock, and repeating again. But we'll see. That remains to be seen, what happens there. So yeah, so that's our EV journey so far. I'll do a more detailed video with some of the figures at another time. I'll maybe do a monthly report on our EV figures in terms of the charging costs and everything, and so you get more of a feel for what the costs are involved with it. But this video was just a quick up to speed EV we've got, and this is how we're using it. So if you've liked this, please leave me a comment below. You know, give me a thumbs up if you can, and please do subscribe. Also, if you'd like to sign up with Octopus, I will put a link in the description below with my referral code. So when you sign up, you'll get £50, and I'll also get £50 too. So that helps me out a little bit. So yeah, so I will catch you in the next video. See you later.